Tonight on KVR News, Election Countdown. I'm Christopher Adams. Why some student organizations aren't endorsing either campaign.
Budget crisis, a plan to make the Daily Texan weekly. Why the paper could be facing such a drastic change.
And students giving back, hundreds help out during UT's biggest day of service.
You're watching KVR News, Austin's leader for live, local UT coverage.
Broadcasting live from the Texas Student Television Studios at the University of Texas. You're watching KVR News at 9, Austin's leader for live, local UT coverage. Your news starts right now.
Good evening. You're watching KVR News for Monday, February 24th. I'm Cassandra Jaramillo.
And I'm Joana, Lyles. Voting in the student government elections just starts in 2 days, and the campaigns are pulling out all the stops to attract undecided voters.
That's right, and some UT organizations are choosing to endorse one of the campaigns, but as Christopher Adam reports, others are leaving it up to the voter to decide.
We've had so much momentum this last week, and now we just need to make sure we keep it going and finish on top here.
We like where we're at and find everything out on Thursday.
The end is in sight. Students will start casting their votes on Wednesday, but many are still undecided.
I do not know yet.
Student political organizations here on campus traditionally endorse a candidate, but this year many, like the University Democrats, chose not to.
We just didn't feel like any of those campaigns really represented our values, and we didn't want to put our name on something that wasn't representative of our beliefs.
The Interfraternity Council has also decided not to endorse a candidate, instead leaving the campaigns to speak for themselves.
We decided it's more important that the student body not just vote based off endorsements, but more try and be informed voters.
The college Republicans have chosen to endorse a campaign this year, Wilson Carter.
One of the tickets is going to win, so we need to decide who would be the better candidates for president and vice president, and we thought that was pretty clear.
I'm just glad that they saw something in us to put their trust in us as candidates and believe in our vision for the school, and really look forward to acting it out.
Of course, an endorsement doesn't guarantee a win. It all depends if the campaigns can get out the vote.
What matters is making sure you speak at every single organization you can, ones that have 200, 300 people, making sure you have representation all across campus rather than in a small room.
Christopher Adams, KVR News.
Well, the two campaigns for Executive Alliance just wrapped up a candidate debate moments ago in the Student Activity Center.
Morgan Williams was at that debate and joins us now live from the SAC. Morgan, how did the debate go?
After facing serious
Cassandra. Well, the debate just ended here behind me, and it was very, very good. Both candidates taking very serious, lots and lots of energy. Now, if you've been to any debates in the past, you know that is not usually the circumstance that student government goes into, especially last year. Lots of shenanigans happening. Nothing like that this year. It was very serious. Just to give you a quick briefing of the kinds of issues that were talked about, a couple of things. Ended the debate talking about AR 16, which is the immigration legislation that was passed by student government last semester to allow in support of undocumented students on campus, and both candidates said that they were definitely for that. Another more controversial thing that was talked about was the stipend that the Executive Alliance gets. Now, for those of you who don't know, Executive Alliance gets about a stipend. The president gets a $7,000 or so stipend, and it was controversial because Wilson Carter said that he would not take that stipend. He said he did not need that financially, and so instead he would give that back to the agency. Another thing that lots of back and forth we saw from both Executive Alliance candidates was over fall break versus Thanksgiving break. Now, Strickland and Rady Strickland said that they were in favor of an extended Thanksgiving break. That's taking that additional Wednesday off from classes, while Wilson Carter said they were in favor of a fall break, a time between Labor Day and Thanksgiving to take off. Now, that actually got a lot of attention. We spent a lot of time on that. That's just a couple of the issues they went over. Overall, great debate, lots of energy. We also heard from some of the university-wide representatives. To see more about what was said, you can go onto our Twitter at KVR News. Live at the SAC, I'm Morgan Williams, KVR News.
Thank you, Morgan. Of course, it's not just the president and vice president positions up for grabs. Students will also be voting for a number of university-wide and college-specific representatives.
Also on the ballot are positions within Texas Student Media, the university unions, and the co-op board of directors, as well as president and vice president of the Graduate Student Assembly.
Voting will take place Wednesday and Thursday, with the results being announced Thursday evening on the steps of the tower. To cast your vote, just head over to utexasvote.org beginning Wednesday at 8 a.m.
A new budget proposal for Texas Student Media is raising some serious concerns. The board met Friday to discuss the looming financial crisis. One of the main items on the agenda, cutting the Daily Texan's print cycle down to just once a week. It's a plan that some students, alumni, and even board members feel is too drastic. After facing serious financial shortfalls, the TSM board met on Friday to discuss the director's preliminary budget proposal. Frank Serpis is the 5th director in 6 years and has to make difficult decisions in cutting expenses to save the TSM reserves.
So there are only so many things in the TSM budget that are of such a magnitude on the expense side that can have a large enough impact to address the budget deficit. And one of those items is the amount of money that's spent on printing and distributing the Daily Texan.
In a letter to the TSM board, the Friends of the Texan addressed their worries with the financial issues. In order to maintain their print schedule, members voted to cut student wages. Since that didn't help the budget issue, they're now looking at their next largest expense, which would directly affect the campus newspaper. Printing costs are the largest expense by a single TSM entity. More than $269,000 are spent in making the Daily Texan. In order to cut those costs to fix the budget issue, the Daily Texan would become the Weekly Texan.
Obviously, we're concerned. We'd like to see more active participation by the management that could find some kind of correction going on there.
TSM voting member Robert Quigley said that instead of cutting the Texan, he hopes advertising efforts can improve the state of all TSM entities.
In our control right now is the ability to sell ads. And so what I'm hoping that we do is if we save all 5 days of print, then we make a new serious push to sell.
The TSM board will make its final decision on its upcoming budget next month. For continuing coverage, you can follow us on Twitter at KVR News.
If you have an outstanding ticket, you might want to pay up soon. Hundreds of jurisdictions across the state are teaming up to catch anyone with an outstanding warrant in the 2014 Great Texas Warrant Roundup. Starting March 1st, police will be knocking on your door if you have yet to pay an outstanding citation. Last year's roundup took care of more than 11,000 warrants alone in Austin. Police are urging people to call and take care of their fines this week before the arrests begin Saturday. A Travis County jury reached its verdict in the trial of Brandon Daniel on Friday. Daniel was found guilty of capital murder of killing APD officer Jaime Padron back in April 2012. The jury said the amount of evidence presented made the decision clear. Hearings for Daniel's sentencing began today. He faces either life in jail without parole or death penalty.
Austinites gathered on the main mall Saturday to show their support for the Venezuelan people amid ongoing tensions in the South American country. Students and community members came together at the tower to raise awareness of the country's recent problems. Venezuela's inflation rate has risen more than 50% in the last year, leading to shortages of goods. There's been a number of protests against the government there, in part due to last year's election of President Nicolas Maduro.
Because all the media censoring that's happening in Venezuela, we have seen how the protests and the congregations all around the world have made a huge impact by, like Mateo said, posting on Instagram, Facebook, and all the media sources that we can find online to let the world know what's going on in Venezuela.
Still ahead, how these handbags are raising hope for victims of domestic violence.
And I'll show you how UT is encouraging girls to build a better future.
You're watching KVR News.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
collaboration and motivation this weekend as students showed up to volunteer in the project, UT's annual Day of Service. Viviana Castaneda reports on how students were brought one step closer to changing the world by making a difference in the local community.
This past Saturday marked the 15th annual event for UT's largest Day of Service. The community-run organization called The Project is one of UT's leading occasions where students are able to volunteer in a wide range of activities offered in the program.
You know, not only people like me, but people like you and the other citizens within Austin to participate, because we know there's always underserved communities within this world, and all we want to do is continue to give back.
The significance behind this well-known event encourages students to give a helping hand back to the community.
It's all about, you know, helping them with their community and restoring respect in their community, restoring faith in themselves, and basically today is all 100% about the community.
The event not only brought students together through the volunteer service, but also by motivating them with guest speakers, catchy music, and some energetic dancing.
Each shift you get to come to the kickoff area and you get a big speech from all the VIPs, and you get cheered to by some cheerleaders, and you just get really pumped up for the day of.
Members volunteering throughout the day found the opportunities inspiring and encouraging. This gave them the ability to make an empowering statement on how to improve the city.
I think it's different from other organizations because you really get to experience what it is like to truly help the community.
Viviana Castaneda, KVR News.
The annual Handbags for Hope purse drive is currently underway. The 7th annual drive began last week and runs through March 21st. Rachel Robillard reports on how handbags are providing relief for victims of domestic violence.
These policemen aren't just showing off their new handbags. They are donating them to provide relief for victims of domestic violence.
We are a true believer in that everybody needs to be treated with respect. And there's going to be individuals that are in abusive relationships and don't know how to get out.
The Texas Advocacy Project provides free legal services statewide to victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking. They encourage victims to call their hotline number, which can be found online and within the handbags donated for Handbags for Hope.
It's an outreach campaign that we use to get our hotline numbers in the hands of victims of violence who happen to be in shelters throughout the state of Texas.
You can donate your new or gently used handbags here at the Travis County Sheriff Office, located at 5555 Airport Boulevard.
We get those purses to the shelters before Mother's Day, and then that way if there's a child that happens to be in shelter with his mother on Mother's Day, he's able to pick a purse and give as a gift.
By giving their mothers a handbag, children have the opportunity to give the gift of a violence-free future. Since this campaign started 7 years ago, Handbags for Hope has shipped over 21,000 handbags. Survivors of domestic violence support the cause.
Had I known about Safe Place, Texas Advocacy, the Austin Children's Shelter, all these organizations are doing this because it's a need for it.
Rachel Robillard, KVR News.
Musicians from around the world are currently here on the 40 acres, taking part in the Menuhin competition. The prestigious contest is hosting violinists from more than 40 countries, including Norway, China, and Japan. It's the first time the competition has been held in North America. UT President Bill Powers welcomed the participants in Friday's opening ceremony.
I want to say congratulations to you. You're winners just by being here and being selected for this competition. And again, we're proud to have this competition, but we are so proud to have you from all over the world on our campus.
The competition will run through next Sunday. Austin Pets Alive celebrated Austin's 3-year anniversary as a no-kill city this weekend. APA held a cocktail party last night to honor the success. The money from the ticket sales went back to Austin Pets Alive, a major contributor to the city's no-kill reputation. APA has saved more than 20,000 animals from being put under.
The university is hosting its third annual UTE Week beginning Friday in celebration of entrepreneurship. Keynote speakers include Michael Dell and founder of Compact Road Canyon. A startup job and internship fair will kick off the week's events, and it's open to students from UT and other schools as well as alumni. Organizers hope the fair will be a relaxed and fun networking session with startups from across Austin. For a full list of the week's events, you can head to our Twitter at KVR News. Meanwhile, the Cockrell School of Engineering celebrated National Engineering Week last week. The school ended the celebration with an event to introduce young girls to engineering. As Lukman Adeni reports, the goal to get more women in the traditionally male-dominated field.
800 volunteers were at UT this Saturday at Girls' Day. Engineering students presented experiments and projects to more than 2,700 girls in 1st through 8th grade. UT's Women in Engineering program hosted the event, hoping to change the perception of the field for girls.
They want that creativity. They want to be able to know that they're going to change the world with what they're doing. And so we're here to kind of change that messaging and make sure that they know by doing engineering, they can still make a difference in the world.
Schools from San Antonio and around Central Texas attended, and parents said they brought their daughters out to inspire them to focus on new things.
Help empower them to focus on their grades and their intelligence as opposed to looks, and start helping inspire them to try hands-on things so it's not as, quote, scary or, kind of far-reaching as you would think.
Programs like Girls' Days at UT, organizers are hopeful the number of girls in engineering will increase.
In 2013, 24% of UT's enrolled engineering students were female, and this past year, the number of women in the admitted freshman class increased to 29%. Chemical engineering major Miranda Pacheco says she volunteers to be an example that girls can do anything.
I think it's really good for the girls to come and do an activity, do it their own way, design their own thing, and build their confidence that they can do anything, and not only just to be an engineer, but to do anything. If they want to go be a biology major, study physics, they can do that too.
Nadani, KVR News.
Rain and cold temperatures are in your forecast after the break.
Have a news tip or story idea? Call the KVR News Tip Line, 475-8181.
Welcome back to KVR News. I'm Chelsea Pena. We just had a beautiful week of sunny weather in the 70s and 80s. We got to break out of those winter coats and get back to those Central Texas shorts weather that we love. But don't pack away those boots and scarves just yet. Today we saw a partially cloudy day with a high of 76. And I'm here to tell you we won't see weather like this until later in the week. Be sure to take those umbrellas to class wherever you go tomorrow, because there's a 40% chance of rain with temps in mid-70s. The chance of rain will continue tomorrow night as we see a cold front roll in and giving us a low of 43. Be sure to bundle up Wednesday as we'll see only a high of 45, low of 36, and a 50% chance of rain. Not a great day to be out and about. On Thursday, we'll see a cloudy day with high of 61 and low of 49. Things are looking up for the weekend, though. Just look at Friday, a sunny day with temps back in the upper 70s. This beautiful weather continues through Saturday. We'll end the week on Sunday with another chance for rain. We've got a 30% chance of showers and even some thunderstorms in the area. So it looks like Mother Nature has a lot in store for us this week, but that's just classic bipolar Texas weather. Live in the Weather Center, Chelsea Pena, KVR News.
Thanks, Chelsea. Up next, Alex Wilkins joins us with a look at Longhorn baseball.
And where did Team USA place in the final medal count? Stay tuned to find out.
Now, KVR News at 9 Sports.
Welcome back to KVR News. I'm Alex Wilkins with College Press Box. Well, the 2014 Winter Olympics drew to a close last night. Team USA had been leading the medal count just 2 days earlier, but Russia pulled ahead to top the table with 33 medals. The USA finished second overall with 28 medals, winning only one on the final day of events. In total, the United States won 9 golds. Team USA dominated the men's slopestyle skiing with a clean sweep of gold, silver, and bronze. Most surprising was the lack of performance from Olympic stars like Shaun White, Bodie Miller, and Shani Davis. Hopes were also high for the men's and women's hockey teams, but they both lost to Canada. The women's team took silver, while the men would go on to lose the competition for bronze against Finland. As the Olympic Games have come to a close, Texas baseball is just starting to heat up at home. College Press Box's Jeff Barker has more on the first home series for the Horns this season.
After beating Stanford in the first 2 games of their 3-game series, number 22 Texas fell short Sunday in the series finale.
What really happened was both teams played damn near the same game. The difference in the 2 teams was a triple with the bases loaded and a home run to left field.
The game began to get out of hand for Texas in the top of the 3rd inning when Garrido was ejected, but the team appreciated the fire and intensity he showed while standing up for them.
Really thankful that he did that. I mean, that he trusts us and we trust him. We're going to fight for him and he's going to fight for us, and that's the biggest thing, that we all trust each other.
Oh, we get fired up, no doubt. He's a very even keel man. So to see when he comes out and he fights for us like that, it lit a fire under all of us to go out there and compete and fight not only for our team but for him as well.
Even though the Longhorns weren't able to come up with a series sweep against the Stanford Cardinal, Coach Augie Garrido and the players still thought it was an overall successful weekend and a great learning experience for the team.
I think that it was successful. I mean, the winning's one part of it, but the learning experience is another part of it.
We played well all week, and we're happy with where we're at, and we still have momentum. We're going to come out and get some work in tomorrow and get ready for Tuesday.
Next week, the Longhorns will take on UT Pan American at home before hitting the road for the Houston College Classic. Jeff Barker, College Press Box.
So Alex, baseball season is starting up, but basketball season is in full swing. I know the team had a bit of a rough week last week, but how can they finish strong?
Absolutely. Well, after Texas lost back-to-back games against Iowa State and Kansas, Texas definitely needs to look back at this past week and look at what they did wrong and really build off of that. Defensively, they could not stop Andrew Wiggins and let Kansas put up 85 points, also let Iowa State put up 85 points. So they definitely need to work with the defense and improve that. Also, offensively, they really weren't impressive at all. Isaiah Taylor surprisingly only put up 5 points in the Kansas game, which is unheard of. So I think that they need to work on those things, but also get their confidence levels back up and also play some better defense.
All right, thanks, Alex. Well, Viviana Castaneda joins us next with your entertainment news. Vivi, what's coming up tonight?
A rating smash for NBC and a box office smash for the Lego Movie. Is a sequel in the works? Keep it here on KVR News.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Welcome back to KVR News. The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon debuted last week on NBC and did so with a bang. Fallon's first show brought in about 8.8 million viewers and 8.5 tuned in every night of the week. It's The Tonight Show's highest ratings in more than 20 years. It's also the most watched week for the network since the Cheers send-off drove NBC to highs in 1993. Taking Fallon's throne as late-night host is former SNL cast member Seth Meyers. His show will debut tonight at 11:35. And the Lego Movie remains #1 at the box office for a third week. It dominated 3 Days to Kill and Pompeii on their third opening weekend. The Lego Movie brought in more than $30 million in just 3 days, bringing its domestic total now to more than $183 million. The movie has been doing so well that Warner Brothers is already planning a sequel for May 2017. Well, the only thing some may recall from this year's Grammy Awards, Pharrell Williams' hat, and now there's a chance for you to own it. Williams announced on Twitter that he's auctioning his Vivian Westwood hat. Proceeds will benefit the charity From One Hand to Another, founded by Williams himself. It aims to help children reach their fullest learning potential by giving them tools and resources. The auction started at $200. It's now up to more than $14,000. And that wraps up entertainment this week. I'm Viviana Castaneda.
Thanks, Viviana, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Cassandra Jaramillo.
And I'm Joana Lyles. For news and weather updates throughout the week, you can follow us on Twitter at KVR News.
Stay tuned for College Press Box up next on Texas Student Television, and have a great night.